Y'all gon' need me. Y'all gon' need me. Let me show you how to scratch it. Either way, destiny still arrives.
Before the video starts, about 96% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing and clicking that notification bell does help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all the support. What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here bringing you another Yu-Gi-Oh! This is a TCG deck profile. This is going to be Raika Predaplant. This is my take on Raika. If you've seen this channel before and seen some of my older videos, I like Predaplant. Ever since the new waves of support, I kind of like the playstyle the deck has, especially with buy slip and such. So I decided to make the Predaplant version of Raika. I think it's a Raika or whatever it is. I don't know. I want to call it Raika because it sounds like IKEA. This is Raika Predaplant. This deck is pretty powerful, I believe. Probably not the best version of this deck. This is kind of just my pet version of the deck at the moment, to be honest. Probably some aspects of this are going to be, hopefully, brought into the more competitive versions of it. But this is kind of like this is my take on it, rather. But that's enough yapping. Time for the profile. Now, onto the Raikias. We are on Triple Tokage. You can special it from your hand by banishing an insect, plant, or reptile from your grave. You can only special it once per turn. Once per turn, you can discard an insect, plant, or reptile. And target a face-up monster your opponent controls, except an insect, plant, or reptile, and return it to the hand. You can only use it once per turn. We're probably not going to be using that second effect if we're going first. Knock on wood, but you know, this is just a very powerful extender. The main reason we're playing three of it. It is a 4 is the reason. Because we can make King of the Feral Imps using it. It is also just an incredibly powerful card, combined with Reptilian Codal, which we'll get to later, in order to make that King of the Feral Imps to search that Serpentine Princess. This deck, I believe, plays kind of similarly to the Synchro Pile deck from a little while ago, where a lot of the cards are going to be trying to access different ways to access different parts of the engine, which I think is really, really cool, especially with all the insect, plant, and reptile support they have printed the past couple of years. So that's enough yapping. Triple Raika no Mari Kube. You can special it from your hand by sending an insect, plant, or reptile from your hand to the grave. You can only special it once per turn that way. If it's normal or special, you can add up to 2 Raika cards with different names from your deck to your hand, or banishment to your hand except for itself. Then banish 1 card from your hand, and you can't special summon once for the rest of the turn except insect, plants, and reptiles. You can only use that effect once per turn. Very powerful card. A lot of the time during our combo, the reason I like the Predaplant stuff is because using Diablantis, a card released in Photon Hypernova, we are able to just send this card to the grave. So as long as we can make Synchro 8, we are able to get off to the races with our Raika engine. This is also 1 for 1 for 1. And this is our plant, this is a reptile, this is a plant, and then lastly our insect, Raika no Kamikiri. You can special it from your hand by placing one of your banished insect, plants, or reptiles from the bottom of your main deck. You can only special it once per turn. If this goes sent to the grave as material for the link summon of a Raika monster, you can target 1 level 4 or lower insect, plant, or reptile in your grave, except for itself, and special summon it. You can only use that once per turn. This one's very necessary. This one's very powerful, and this is a key point of interaction for your opponents if you're playing against this deck. You do not want them linking this off it to a Raika as much as possible. This entire deck is able to function because of it, because you're able to bring back your Predaplants from the graveyard because they are our plants. You're also able to bring back other stuff in order to synchro climb or do whatever you need to. So this card is very flexible. So we are running 3 of it. Next, our continuous spell, Raika Kuriozaki, if I'm saying that correctly. All insect, plants, and reptiles gain 300 attack and defense, and all others lose 300 attack and defense. You can activate one effect per turn. You can either add a Raika from your deck to your hand, then discard a card, or special summon a Raika from your hand, grave, or banishment in defense position. You can use it once per turn. Funny enough, more than not, we're going to be using that special summon effect rather than the add effect. We really don't want to be wasting too many materials from our hand as possible. A lot of our cards are going to be using those resources from hand anyway. So any way we can like skimp on that, we do want to be doing it. This is always going to be an extra extender on the field. And the fact that it can summon from banished too is very powerful in order to be recycling those resources, which is the reason why we are able to be playing triple Tokage. Lastly, for our Raika main deck cards, we are on one of the trap. I'm going to try pronouncing that. Target cards your opponent controls up to the number of insect, plants, and reptile link monsters you control of different types. Destroy them. Then if a face of insect, plant, or reptile monster, destroy them, period. And then when this is in the grave, if a face of insect, plant, or reptile monster you control is destroy a battle or card effect while this is in the grave, except the turn no sent there, you can banish this card, target a monster your opponent controls, and destroy it. It is good countermeasure. It pairs very well with one of the other cards for the Predaplant archetype that we're going to be going over later. It's searchable via link monster, so it's always accessible, so we only really need to be playing one for our setup. That's pretty much it for our Raikias. Now onto our honorary Raikia. Serpentine Princess, back from 2000s, early Yu-Gi-Oh! We have Serpentine Princess. If this face-up card is returned from the field to your deck, it activates in your deck to special summon one level 3 or lower monster from your deck to your side of the field, and then you have to shuffle, of course, obviously. This card is very, very powerful. It can get you Kamakiri, it can get you Goki Pole if you need, it can get you any one of your tuners, it can get Orphis Scorpio, which is very powerful. It can even get you Darlingtonia Cobra if you really want it. Like, you're not really going to want it, so you're not really going to grab that one. But it can get Scorpio, which you do really want, because then Scorpio can grab Cobra to actually get its effect. So we are definitely running it. This is a reptile, so we can't search a King of the Feral Imps. So that's the reason we're running it. So we kind of want the ability to just be able to search it. That's the entire point of the deck, is to be able to search or dump everything we need via whatever we open. So we try to be as flexible as we can. Next, our other King of the Feral Imps search target, Reptilian Codal. If you control a dark reptile monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then your opponent controls any monsters with 0 attack. You can special summon up to as many an equal number of Reptilian monsters from your hand, and you can only use it once per turn. We're never going to be summoning any Reptilians. Thing is, this is a level 4 Dark Reptile Tuner, which can let us go into Diablantis if we have another 4 on field, which can let us dump anything, functionally. This card is also searchable with King of the Feral Imps, and King of the Feral Imps, if you look, is a Dark Reptile. So the moment we search it, we can then special summon it to get a free tuner. So any 2 4s turns into a Reptilian on the side of the field. So very powerful card. You want to play that one of just to search it. I do expect lists in the future to be playing this just because Diablantis is a card, and this is probably one of the easiest ways to make it. It looked through almost all the insect, plants, and reptiles, and this is the one I found. Now, on to other tuners. For our insects, we are on Variant the Circular Sorcerer at 2. I believe this card also released in Photon Hypernova. If an insect or plant monster is in either graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. You only special summon Variant once per turn this way. And if this card be used as synchro material for an insect or plant monster, you can treat it as a non-tuner. So it has the flexibility of being a non-tuner, but the main reason we're running this is the level 3 tuner that we can special summon our hand for functionally for free. Because we're almost always going to have a plant or an insect in grave, because we are playing such a large quantity of the Predaplants, which are all plants and do love to be in the graveyard. And I will be showing you the combo at the start of the video, actually, so you have already seen it, where it's any level 3 tuner and Predaplant Orphis Scorpio plus a couple discards. So this card is one of our ways to get into Diablantis via our Predaplant combo. So we are running it at 2, and we are running the other one at 2 as well. We are on 1 Resonance Insect for our insects. This is a very powerful card, but again, we can send it to the graveyard anytime we need to, really, with Diablantis, so we don't really want to open it. Unlike Bee Trooper, where we're really going to be sending it from field to grave, we're not really. The Insector Picafelinia is in there, and the extra is just kind of to show you can do it. We don't run any targets to search for it, because those are kind of bricks. So we are just running that 1 Resonance Insect, and of course the 1 Goki Pole and the Insect Knight to go along with it. Functionally, how Resonance Insect works is we can send it to the graveyard via Diablantis, and then holds it in the graveyard for a little bit later, where we can then banish the Goki pole to, or not Goki pole, I apologize. We can banish the Resonance Insect for our Link monster in order to search the trap card very consistently, just to get an extra extender on board to then just put it right back in deck to summon a Raika Link monster from our graveyard. So that's the purpose of those, just an extra extender. It can also pop cards, which is useful for when you're going second. Next, our plants. We are on one Lone Fire Blossom. We actually don't really want to be opening this one too much. It's a very big choke point for the deck. We want to be searching this, again, with our extra deck monsters to basically get our plays off to the races, to be an extra flexible spot in the deck. It can transform into any one of our plant monsters, which is very useful. We are able to grab this off of Aromatherapy Jasmine because our Raika Link 2 is a plant, and during our Predaplant combo we do get the other Raika plant in the grave, so we can make Jasmine to then make Lone Fire by tributing any monster at link point. We are on 2 Rose Girl. If a face of plant monster you control is sent to the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if a plant monster is on the field and this card's in your grave, you can add it to your hand, but you can only use one of those effects per turn. This is a very powerful card, not only just to discard, but also to special summon to the field. Same as Fairy Ant. Just making sure it's Fairy Ant. Yeah, it is Fairy Ant. Same as Fairy Ant. We are able to special summon it. This is a little bit different than Fairy Ant. Different conditions. Needs a plant being sent to the grave. So this is more when you're linking off, or you're going to be using your Predaplant combos and such. So we are running 2 of it, just to run 4 level 3 tuners, but not really go too deep on any one of them, so we can lower the odds of opening multiples. We are on, for our Predaplants, we are on a triple Predaplant Orpus Scorpio. You can, when a normal special, you can send a monster from your hand to the grave to special summon a Predaplant from your deck, except for itself, and then you can only use that once per turn. We are on double Predaplant Bioslip. We want to be able to send this once on our turn and once during our opponent's turn for our interaction for Predaplants that we do search throughout the combo. If it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a Predaplant monster from your deck to your hand, except for itself, and if a monster with a Predator counters on the field, you can special summon it from your grave and banish it when it leaves the field. Pretty much both of those are going to be applicable during the combo. During your next turn, after your opponent passes it back to you, your opponent, or there will more than likely be a Predator counter somewhere on the field, so we're going to be able to bring this back as a free material to get our Raika plays off to the races. We're able to send this to the grave in order to search our Predaplants, and we do send this to the grave via our searchable trap card in order to search a card again on our opponent's turn. So we are running 2 of it in order to do it twice. We're on 1 Predaplant Chlamydia Sundew. This is basically just poly on legs. It can be super poly if your opponent controls darks or monsters with predator counters on them. However, this is more than not poly. We're able to get it back from the graveyard, so we are just playing 1. We don't want to open it. We're not pure Predaplant. We want to be searching it with our Predaplant Fusion monster, which, guess what? Searches stuff from your deck like everything else. So this deck does pretty much die to Droll, which is unfortunate, but that's not what we're playing around. I just want to build the deck. We are playing 1 of it. We are playing 1 Hydra. This is a little bit of a tech card. This lets us get into Diablantis via Aromatherapy Jasmine, because this is a plant monster you can summon off of Lone Fire Blossom. That is a level 5 that you can summon Fairy Ant or whatever to make an 8. This also it is a kaiju from both hand and grave, be for any cards that have predator counters on it, and it is a quick effect damage step trick in graveyard as well, and on field. So this isn't a card just to completely write off about, but this is a card we want in our grave ASAP, or is a tech card that we can flex into for main deck combos and such. Lastly, we are on the 1 Predaplant Darlingtonia Cobra. If it's special summoned by the effect of a Predaplant monster, you can add any fusion spell card from your deck to your hand. And no, we're not adding Fusion Destiny or anything. We're adding good old instant fusion to start our combos, because we're not really going to be hard fusing for our Predaplant Fusion monster to start with. We're just going to cheat that bad boy out because it's a level 5 fusion with instant fusion. Speaking of instant fusion, I just mentioned it, so I'm not going to go too much into details. 1 Predaprime Fusion. This is a backup search target for our Predaplant Fusion monster. On summon, it does search a fusion Predap card. So we can have this if we do open the other one. That's the only reason we're really running it. As well as it's kind of being an interaction with our opponents. It's technically a super poly for fusing a dark fusion monster. Which we do have. We're running 2 Predaplant fusions just for that occasion. So We are running Prime Fusion just as another target. However, more than likely, if you're actually going to make this competitive, you probably want to cut it and just run one and deal with it. Hand traps and staple cards. We are on triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1/1 because we're running level 1 monster. Then we want to special summon, 1 Call by the Grave to avoid hand traps, 1 Foolish Burial because we're a graveyard deck, 1 Bead Trooper Descent. I like this card a lot, and if you play Bead Troopers in the deck, this is a lot better. Thing is, this is just a spell card that translates into an insect token, and then if you control an insect monster with a lot of attack, you can also pop a back row, which is very powerful. The thing is, our Link 5 is an insect with 3,300 attack. So its secondary effect actually can be on if we're going second. So we are just running that. And then lastly, our Sun Avalon Bloom for our Link 4 Sun Avalon. I forgot its name already, to be completely honest. Okay, and now on to the extra deck. We are on 1 Inzektor Pico. We are on 1 Raiko Dokiro. It needs 2 monsters, including an insect, plant, or reptile. You can target a Raika monster in your grave, special summon it in defense. And then if this card's in your grave, all the Raikias have this effect. If this card is in your grave, you can target an insect, plant, or reptile you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you use special summon this card, you can only use each effect once per turn. You can't special summon monsters the turn you activate either of this card's effects except for insect, plants, and reptiles. That is a hard lock. So you're really trying not to run any non-insect, plants, or reptiles in the extra, except for just 1, which is, again, just a flex spot, just like Pico. So we are running 2 of this because this is our play starter, so we want to make sure we have ability to access it. We are running 1 Aromatherapy Jasmine because we are a plant deck, and this lets us get to Lone Fire in any of our plants, such as our Predaplants. We're on 1 Traptrix Atipus that needs 2+ monsters, including an insect or plant. This link summon monsters unaffected by trap effects. All Traptrix monsters you control gain 1,000 attack while you have a normal trap in your grave, which we have Predaplanting and our Raika normal trap, so not never. Once per turn, you can target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of insect and plant monsters you control. Negate their effects until the end of turn, and then you can apply this effect. Banish a normal trap from your grave, and if you do, destroy one of those targeted face-up cards. Very, very powerful card. Works very well with the insect and plant portion of the deck, as well as the searchable traps. So we are running it just as a little bit of a flex spot. We are on 1 of Uga Minushi. Hopefully I said that right. This is a Link 3 insect. You manage 2 insect, plants, and normal reptiles, which is how we're going to be banishing our Resonance insect from the graveyard, to search the trap, and then it has the graveyard bring back effect. We're in 1 Sun Avalon Dryatinery. It needs 2+ Link monsters, which is actually a little bit more difficult than you think, because you need 2 Link 2s, or 1 Link 3, and then anything. 1 Link 3, and then 1 Link 2. Or you're really gonna have to overpay for it. So this card is actually not super easy to get to. Sometimes you have to waste some resources in order to get to it. However, it's a very powerful effect because it searches this trap card, which is the main power card. If it's only someone, you can add a Sun Avalon spell trap from your deck to your hand. This card can be destroyed by your opponent's card effects and cannot be targeted for attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking you directly. Once per turn, you contribute a Link monster to this card points. You destroy any number of cards your opponent controls up to that monster's Link rating. Very powerful secondary effect with this deck, because you can just cheat out the 5 from your grave and then attribute it to pop 5 cards. Very powerful card, especially for cleaning up, so of course we're going to be running it. And then time to mention Sun Avalon Bloom. When this card is activated and you control a Link 4 or higher plant monster, when this effect resolves, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. During the damage step, if your plant Link monster battles, you can activate this effect. They attack. It gains attack equal to the combined attack of monsters it currently points to until the end of the turn. You can only use the effect of Bloom once per turn. You can only activate 1 Bloom per turn. The thing is, we also do have our Raika no Musha, which can also benefit from that secondary effect from the trap card. So that the whole engine, I initially wasn't really a fan of it. However, it has really turned around on me, and I do like it. We are on 1 Kusarami Gami. Hopefully I'm saying these right. If not, please feel free to correct me in the comments. If your opponent activates a monster effect, you can activate this effect. Neither player can activate monster effects in the hand for the rest of the turn. If this card's in your grave, you can special summon it by putting a card back to the bottom of the deck. Again. Very powerful card in certain matchups. That's how this deck kind of feels. All these different cards feel great in certain matchups. So we are running this. This is typically one of our climbs. We want to try and get as many Raika monsters in the graveyard as fast as possible in order to just make our next turn as like that much more explosive by just being able to cheat out all our Raikias from the graveyard. Lastly, our big guy, Raika no Yugioh. If a monster is special summoned from your opponent's deck and or extra deck, except during the damage step, you can destroy 2 monsters on the field, and then has the graveyard effect once more. This is just a very powerful card just to end on as a piece of interaction. Just popping 2 cards every time your opponent summons a monster from the extra deck or deck. Sure, it is a once per turn, but its effect is going to be more than its not effect. King of the Feral Imps, like I mentioned, needs 2 level 4s. You need to attach a material, add a reptile from deck to hand. Diablantis, I spoke a lot of words about this card. Now it's time to read it. You need a tuner and a non-tuner. It's a level 8. It's an insect, so we can make it. If it's synchro summoned, you can send an insect and or plant monster from your deck to the grave up to the number of non-tuners used for its synchro summoned. If you control the synchro summoned card, you can target 1 insect or plant monster you control, treat as a tuner until the end of the turn. That part's not really relevant. More thing is, it sends 1 or 2 cards to the graveyard. We can make this using 3 materials. We don't really want to. However, if we do, it does kind of make up for it by sending 2 cards to the grave. So that is always an option because we do have a 1, a 3, and then a 4. So we can make it using 3 materials. We're on 1 Mud Dragon. This is the 1 non-insect plant or reptile in our extra. This is just a card since we're playing Predaplant. Feel free to take that out. 1 Predaplant Ambulo Melodies. It needs 2 Predaplants. We're not ever going to be doing that. If this card is fusion summoned, you can add 1 Predaplant monster or 1 Predap spell trap from your deck, graveyard, or face of extra deck to your hand. You can target 1 monster your opponent controls with a predator counter, or 1 monster you control, tribute it, and if you do, special summon 1 Predaplant monster from your deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. This card is crazy good. It searches a card, and then it tutors for a card by tributing a card. So it fills your grave, cycles your cards, and gets you basically your win con. And the card this searches is Predaplanting. I didn't go over it in the deck profile because here it is. You can send 1 Predaplant monster from your deck to the grave. That's a cost. Place 1 predator counter on each face-up monster on the field, and if you do, any of those monsters that are level 2 or higher become level 1 for as long as they have a predator counter. If you fusion summon a dark monster while this card's in your grave, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your grave and then target 1 card on the field and destroy it. You can use each effect once per turn. This card is very, very powerful. If we can manage to keep this in the grave and then we can fusion summon again, we can pop a card. This card hoses synchro strategies. Synchro strategies they can't really do too much against this if you time it right, because you activate this, everything becomes level 1. So they better have formula in their extra deck. So this card just is very powerful in Sword Soul meta. Like, this card won me a lot of games. We're on 1 Dragostapelia. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, place a predator counter on it, and if it's level 2 or higher, its level becomes 1. And then it has the text: negate the activated effects of your opponent's monsters that have predator counters on them. In our combo, we end on Dragostapelia and we search the trap card. That means not only do we have 1 board-wide negate, we have 2 board-wide negates in our searchable combo deck. So we better be negating their whole board at least once throughout our combo. And then lastly, just a card that we can play into if we do want to not do monster negate and do a different type of interaction. We can go into Tri-Vertum. It needs 3 darks on the field, which is kind of specific. However, Predator Prime Fusion can kind of get around that by using your opponent's cards that have predator counters on them, as well as Sundew, because Sundew can consider those darks if they do have predator counters on them. When your opponent special summons a monster from their extra deck while you control this fusion summon card, quick effect, you can negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. That is a once per turn. However, having a solemn judgment functionally on this, or not solemn judgment rather, having a solemn warning on a monster is just very, very powerful. But not only that, it has the effect where it gains the attack equal to the total original attack of all other monsters on the field with predator counters on them. Do you notice how Predaplanting says all face-up cards on the field? That includes your own. So this guy can get stupid big real quick, and people don't really be knowing that. People maybe know that secondary effect, the negating one. However, this guy can get stupid big. This guy can also bring himself back for free if your opponent has any predator counters on anything. So just keep that in mind. This guy is a recurring asshole. That's it for the main and extra. Now on to the side, which is a singular card which came out when I was researching this deck. Close, the Circular Fairy. This is a card that goes with Variant, the Circular Sorcerer. Not many people really know that, and it goes with one more card. I'm not going to mention it now, it just gives you an additional normal summon. Funny enough though, those cards don't actually make that card because it's a level 8, and these guys can only make a level 7, even with Variant becoming a non-tuner. But Close says, if this card's normal or special summon, you can discard a card, add an insect or plant tuner from your deck to your hand except for himself. If an insect and or plant synchro monster is special summon while this card's in your grave, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect once per turn. We can play this and send it off of Diablantis. We could also play it to normal summon to search out Variant by discarding a card. Ideally, we would have discarded a plant or an insect so we can then summon the Variant and get off the races that way. But right now, I'm choosing not to include it in the deck list just because I want to play the Predaplants, to be honest. It might be better to play a more generalist build, however, I do love my Predaplants. That's it for the profile. I'm just going to show you a couple replays this is basically me testing, so these aren't optimal boards by any means. This is just me testing the deck. So you might see like double resonance insect in some of these replays as I was testing with the ratios. But this is functionally the end of the profile. I'm going to say my thank yous, and then the rest of the video is going to be those replays. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day and enjoy those replays. Thank y'all so much for watching the video, it really means a lot. If you want to talk to other Yu-Gi-Oh players in a competitive manner, please feel free to check out my Discord. We are still growing, but we would love to have you, and we plan to do some events sometime soon. You'll also be able to do cool stuff like vote on future videos and topics of videos, so swing by sometime and check us out. I also started a Patreon, so that'll be linked in the description of my videos from now on. Donating would mean a lot and would help in producing these videos. Right now, there's only one tier, being Tier 1 Femboy. This tier includes access to an exclusive Discord channel where you'll be able to talk amongst other femboys and have access to discussions with me as well as getting a shout out in every video following your patronage. Thank you so much for all your support.